Right. Good evening, everyone, again. And so, welcome to our diabetes support group. We're recording this evening so that others would be able to benefit from our segment, the educational piece, and then we can have some more discussion. So, a big question, what does diabetes mean to you? When you hear the word diabetes, or even with your own experience, what do you think it is? What do you think is diabetes? Anyone? It could be a word, a phrase, anything. All right. So someone is saying restrictions on eating options. Yeah, that is so real. Yes, that is so real. I was talking to someone this week and they started to add certain things to the diet as well as counsel on what needs to be removed. And that's a good point. Restrictions on eating options. Yeah. Anyone else you want to contribute?
I will say it's a disease.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Diabetes. Yes, and it's a
Um,
chronic
It's a
one.
disease and also have to do with the lifestyle, our lifestyle.
Yes. That's excellent. That's excellent awareness, because and I want to let you know that diabetes is 100% reversible. It is 100% reversible, and you don't have to live the rest of your life with diabetes. Neither do you have to live the rest of your life on medication trying to control diabetes. So isn't that good news? And we will teach you how to do that. And it is simple. It's not complicated at all. Someone sharing high blood sugar as a result of the pancreas not working effectively. That is true in certain aspects. If your pancreas is not working effectively, that can be for some, like diabetes type 1 or 1.5. But when it comes to diabetes type 2, the pancreas works. It produces insulin. It's just that the other end now, the insulin is not doing its work well, but the pancreas is definitely involved. Good. Anyone else? Any more takes? Oh, yeah, that you feel tired. Yeah, that's right. You tend to feel tired because of the high glucose running in your bloodstream. Yeah, it saps your energy.
Notably absent from the Paris summit, U.S. President Donald
Anyone else? One more. I'll take one. Oh, sorry, you were about to say something, Marilyn Ambrose? Okay.
No, I just came on, so it just came on like that. Sorry.
Welcome. All right. So we were just sharing what individuals think of diabetes. What does it mean to them? All right, good. So I just want to do an overview on diabetes. Here we are at the start of the year, and for all of those who are joining for the first time, and then we will look at some content. Okay, so when it comes to diabetes, the curse causeless shall not come. From a biblical perspective, God wants us to be healthy. In 3 John talks about, beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth. And throughout the Bible, there's so many gems of healing, so many gems of counsel, so many gems of promise from God, our great physician and our master healer, that he has promised and even pledged himself to keep us in good health. That's wonderful news. He's pledged himself to keep us in good health. And therefore, as we partner with him and cooperate with him, we can experience this good health that he has promised to us. We live in a world of sin, and unfortunately, we have a body that's a bit challenging to keep together. And but at the same time, if we think simplicity in life and just using the simple natural remedies that God has blessed us with, I was just on a radio program talking about the benefits of sunlight. And sunlight, it has huge benefits, but it's free. And so if we were to place ourselves into the sunlight, it would help us to even restore that energy, to feel great, to lift our moods and our spirit. And so whenever we see disease, know that there is a cause. Whenever we see disease, know that there is a cause. Someone mentioned it's a lifestyle problem. Yes. So the lifestyle needs to be adjusted. So disease never comes without a cause. Always no cause to effect. And that's what we want to teach you, how to recognize those causes and to make the change. Now, there's a lovely book that I love to read, and it's the book Ministry of Healing. And it says on page 127, disease is an effort of nature to free the system from conditions that result from a violation of the laws of health. So these laws of health that we would share with you, like sleep, for example, it's a law, a natural law of our being that we need sleep. It's a natural law of our being that we need pure air. If we were in polluted situations, smoky environments, that's impure air and can cause us to be sick. So these natural laws that governs our body, we will talk about that over time. And so what are they? Pure air, sunlight, temperance, having balance, not overworking, overeating, oversleeping, or stressing. Rest is important. Exercise is important, especially with a diabetes situation. The diet is important and getting that correct. Water is important, utilizing water internally and externally, and having that trust in God is important. Cleanliness, purity of life, all of these are valuable gems that are free in our nature for us to embrace. So now let's look. Whenever you're not well, here's a good counsel. Find out the cause. And if your toe is hurting you, question, did you stump your toe? Yes. Well, that's the cause. So let's probably get a house shoe. Especially as a diabetic, you want to protect your feet. Okay, this is utmost importance. As a diabetic, you should not be walking around with slippers with your toes exposed, and more so going out with slippers or sandals with your toes exposed. It is a risk because you can stump your toes, you can get cut. So wearing wholesome shoes is better, but make sure that your shoe is not tight, because if your shoe is tight, you can get corn and calluses, and that rubbing can become a bruise. And then with diabetes, it would not heal well or quickly enough. And before you know, it's a sore and it's not getting better. And what would that lead to? You can have an infection. So get shoes. We have these Crocs now. They're okay. The heel exposed, yeah, but at least most 3/4 of the foot is covered. If you can do even better and get a nice wholesome shoe, that's good. Let me tell you, I love wearing shoes in my house. So I have a house shoe, and I have one for in the yard. And when I'm walking the streets, I can have my sneaker on. And when I'm going out, all my shoes, they're closed shoes because I want to protect my feet. I tend to throw my feet in all directions and my toes keep bumping into things. So wearing a shoe is helpful for me to keep my toes protected. Oh, they've been protected so many times. And so that's a little pointer for you. Maybe you need to get a shoe. If you don't have one yet, make it a priority. Give a gift to yourself of a nice, wholesome, comfortable shoe. So let's first find out the cause of why we're sick, why we have diabetes, and then go to correct it. Maybe it might mean not working so hard because you stress your body, and stress can increase the glucose levels. Maybe you have diabetes, but you also have high blood pressure, you also have high cholesterol levels. Stress will elevate all of that. Now, overeating. As a diabetic, we don't want to overeat. You may feel hungry more because it's one of the classical symptoms of diabetes, that there is this hunger. And I am told that a diabetic hunger is quite strong. All right. So you want to eat, but we don't want to overeat because then you put added burden on your digestive organs. So whatever might be the cause, let's seek to correct it. Now, here's a pointer. When do you think medicine works? Yeah, do you think medicine works? It doesn't, I would suggest, because if you are on medication for the past 15, 20 years and you're not healed yet, then it's not working for you. Yeah. So that's a good point to consider. And not that I'm saying to you tonight to come off your medication, but give it some thought. Let's try something different. Let's do something different and see that your health is improved. So whenever there is sickness, ascertain the cause. Unhealthful conditions should be changed. This is excellent counsel, because if there are conditions and practices, wrong habits that are happening right now, let's seek to correct it. So where are we in terms of our readiness for change? That's a question I have for you. And if you are ready for change, you're ready for improvement, I want you to put a 1 in the chat. Okay, so if you're ready for change, you're ready for improvement, you want to see your health improve, you want to overcome your diabetes or blood pressure. Yeah. So we have someone very much ready for change. Okay, we have 2, 3. Okay, anyone else? 4. Okay, good. Praise the Lord that you are ready for change. You know, one of the things is that God doesn't force his will on any of us. And no matter how good his purposes are, his intention, his plan for our lives, he still gives us that option to choose. So I'm happy to see that you're ready for change. And change may not always feel easy because we get comfortable in what we're doing, comfortable in our space. But with God's help, we can make the changes. With his wisdom, guidance, and understanding, you can make the changes. Yeah. So we pray for that every day. Once you make the changes, then the body begins to respond. The unhelpful habits, diet, everything is changed and corrected, and the body begins to respond. And right away, you see improvement starting to take place. I'm excited when improvement begins to take place, and I see some of our clients and our guests excited too, because they tend to feel that freedom is coming. And you know what freedom means? That you don't have to take medication. You don't have to inject. You know, last week, I wanted to check my glucose level. I was like, let me check my glucose, see if it's okay, because I wasn't feeling too great. So I said, let me check my blood pressure, check my glucose. It was within range, but my fingers stung me so hard. And I said, I kissed it up, trying to say, don't worry, I'm not going to stick you again. So freedom means you don't have to stick yourself so many times or even be on medication or forget your medication. Freedom is not having to look at all of those things, and God is going to bless you that you will overcome diabetes. It is reversible. So there are some medications that we may be on. We will talk a little bit about diabetes type 1, 1.5, 2. And do you know there's a diabetes type 3? And then I saw 4 the other day. So let's look at an oral medication called metformin. So this is one of the common ones. Maybe you're on metformin. Some people say it would make them feel unwell. And so they maybe switch to another. But whatever medication you're on, here's a fact. All medication, they have side effects. Okay, all medication do. So they may do what they intend to do, such as lower your glucose levels, but at the same time, there are other things that happens in your body. And if we were to take a sneak peek into metformin, let's see, just as an FYI, for your information, metformin can cause infection in your nose, throat or sinus issues, taste problems, head pain. You feel like you want to throw up, or you throw up, gas, diarrhea, stomach cramps, swelling in the abdomen, inadequate B12. So for diabetes, I like to recommend a B complex because you will get the B12 in there as well as the other B vitamins to help with your nerve conduction and to support your nervous system and your heart at the same time, because diabetes can lead to heart attacks. Yep, you want to protect your heart too. So the B vitamins tend to do that. But once you're on the metformin medication for 29 weeks and more, your B12 begins to reduce. And your doctor may be recommending a B supplement for you as well. So the B12. Then other side effects that may be less severe, but still showing up: trouble breathing, inflammation of the nose, indigestion, infrequent bowel movement. What does that feel like? Constipation. All right, so your bowel movements are not free or incomplete. Fingernail and toe disease. So if you're on metformin, and maybe some of these side effects show up with other medication too. So I've seen individuals when they're on medication and they have a toenail that's black or a fingernail that's black. And they said, look at my nail. And I would say to them, yeah, it's the medication. As long as you're using the meds, that's going to continue for you. All right, it can clear up, but it's a side effect. And then muscle pain. So that happens with the metformin and even other statin drugs that people might be on. Your muscles begin to pain you. They begin to feel a bit achy or become weak. And so your strength in your muscles are challenged. Then you may feel dizzy. Flu-like symptom, excessive sweating from this medication, chills, rash, redness of the face or neck, heart throbbing or pounding, low blood sugar. That's the objective, isn't it? And then increased acidity in the body and anemia, megaballistic anemia. And so your B12 supplement can help to improve that. And so we want to recognize medication do have side effects. Insulin You're on insulin, that tends to have side effect, overweight being quite an obvious one, that you may put on more weight around the midline area, your abdominal area, tend to look a bit bloated as a side effect from insulin. Now, if you're on medication, it's going to help lower and drive your glucose numbers down. But it's not to say that you're in a safe zone, because once you stop, the glucose is still there. So with the dietary and lifestyle changes, and these natural lifestyle changes that we're talking about can help you to reduce your glucose levels so that it is normalized and you don't have problems. So everyone, when we eat, our glucose level will increase. It will rise in our body. It happens for me. It happens for any other person. But why does it stay in the blood high? Why doesn't it go down? It's a big question. So the drugs, we're on it all the time, but it doesn't seem to help. It doesn't cure. Yeah, or else we'd be all off, all who are on medication. If it cured, then you would be off by now. So it doesn't cure. And then you have all of these other side effects that may show up in some other form. As we saw, a list of those conditions are quite possible, and it may mean a disease condition for you. So let's seek as to what we can do naturally. Here there are types of diabetes, and how many types of diabetes do you think there are? Anybody? How many types of diabetes are there? One, we have two categories, water diabetes or sugar diabetes. And we have them central, nephrogenic, gestational, dipsogenic. So gestational women who are pregnant, hormones are changing all the time. They tend to get darkness around their neck, under the arm area. Those are hormonal responses. And then next thing you know is that you have gestational diabetes, and you are challenged with this condition, trying to get normal glucose levels. Unfortunately, that happens, but it can overcome. You can overcome the gestational diabetes too. So all of these are more water-driven. Here you have glucose, so you find that the sweet blood, sugary blood, type 1, 1.5, type 2, type 3. Those we're looking, and we look mainly at type 2 because here you have the challenged one. Honey sweet urine. On this side, the blood isn't that sweet. It's more bland. Years ago, they used to taste the urine. Your doctor would have tasted the urine to tell you, yeah, your sugar is high in your blood. Because the urine comes out, spilled out, and it's sweet. Ants will even follow that urine if it were to spill anywhere. But now there are more sophisticated ways of knowing what your blood says about you. There are a couple of definitions and terms. Now, we're looking at ranges for our diabetes, and we want to aim for normal glucose levels. And it's important for us. And in the chat after our session tonight, I'm going to place a form in the chat of the ranges so that you can have that. And every day when you take your glucose numbers, refer to that chart and see where your number is at. This is important for you to understand. So a normal glucose level. If I were to stick my finger right now and go on a glucometer and test my blood sugar, it's going to give me a number. So you're looking for your number after you've fasted through the night, early morning, and after an 8 hours fast. Here, your glucose number should be anywhere from between 65 to 99. All right, milligrams per deciliter. Some other parts of the world may measure, and they're looking for anywhere like 3.6 to 5.5 millimoles per liter. 3.6 to 5.5 for normal. So if you woke up this morning and your glucose level says it was 116, it's above normal range. Okay. Yes, so the session is being recorded and will be posted in our WhatsApp chat. All right. So if you're 116, then it falls within here because a pre-diabetes range will be anywhere between 100 to 125 or 5.6 to 6.9 for pre-diabetes. And you could be within that stage. Don't be comfortable because you're moving in a certain direction upward, and we don't want that to get any further. So if you're pre-diabetic or anyone you know you come across and they're pre-diabetic, they need to make the recommended changes with their diet, with their lifestyle, with their habits, practices, seek to improve on their health so that they don't go into a full diabetic state. So diabetes, you will be given a diagnosis when your fasting glucose number says it's 126 and above. Maybe it's in the 140, 150, 200, 300 or more. You're full-blown diabetic. So 126 and above milligrams or 7 millimoles per liter and above will put you in a diagnosis of diabetes. Now, there's a test that you can do called the HbA1c or A1c, some folks say for short. And again, these are the values that you're looking for. So the A1c will tell you whether you're at 5. That's good. And this is after you've fasted. Or it would tell you that you're at 5.7. 5.7 puts you here at pre-diabetes. If it tells you that you're at 9, you know you're full-blown diabetes. So the A1c is a measure of average glucose running over the previous 3 months of that blood test. It's a blood test. And so it gives you an idea of what your glucose level has been over the past 3 months. And there you can get a diagnosis as well of being diabetic. So many times individuals would be told, but you have diabetes, look at your number, and you would wonder, how come? How could this be? And we will show you what are some of the causes for diabetes. You didn't make any baby, so it's not baby hormonal, a hormone that's signaling there. And you've been living life. Maybe you've been walking. Maybe you're drinking lots of water, but what is it? Is it stress that's driving it? Is it an improper diet? Okay, so whatever it might be that's driving, we will work with you, find out your cause, and then as the council says, remove the cause. Now we are going to move on. So have this chart with you, and every day when you check until you learn it, okay, and you start seeing your numbers coming down as you begin to get deeper into the program. Someone mentioned earlier about a lovely pancreas right here close to the liver. And that pancreas has a work to do to help to produce a hormone called insulin. That insulin will send our glucose numbers down. How does it work? In the pancreas, there are certain cells called the beta cells and the islet cells, and there's some others, but they have a work to do to help to reduce glucose in the body. So beta cells, for example, they are the insulin producing cells. Beta cells will produce insulin. Do we need insulin? I do. You do. Everyone, we need insulin, and our body produces it naturally in adequate amount. If we needed more insulin to be produced because I just had a milkshake, a fruit berry shake, and that will just send my glucose number high, my pancreas is going to produce more insulin. Okay, so insulin you naturally produce. Sometimes we need to purchase insulin and inject it into the body. So the beta cells can produce insulin. Sometimes it may not be producing enough because it's not working well. So the insulin that may not be produced well if your beta cells are not functioning properly, or if you don't have adequate beta cells produced by the pancreas. Your immune system may play a role if your immune system attacks them. And so you're not getting beta cells sufficiently to make insulin. And that happens sometimes in what one might be diagnosed as a diabetes type 1 situation. Cow's milk protein tend to resemble the protein found in beta cells in our pancreas, but our body doesn't like cow's milk protein, and so it builds up a fight, a war, seeks to eliminate the cow's milk protein, and that's being, using dairy can cause your beta cells to be damaged. Because as your immune system tends to get rid of that dairy, be it in your cheese, in your animal milk, or butter, or any time you use any dairy, you find, or the milk protein, the casein, the beta cell, the body tends to put up resistance, create inflammation, try to get it. It's foreign to the body. And so your beta cells might get a hit too because they look similar. Some individuals might have milk sensitivities or allergies, and the body has a response, an adverse response to that. And similarly, they attack our beta cells. But then there are other things to look at. So the insulin is not produced in the pancreas only through the beta cells, but also the brain tends to produce insulin. If the brain is challenged in producing insulin, then that part of the brain isn't working well. And that accounts for diabetes type 3, or what you may know to be as Alzheimer's disease. A deficiency of having the sufficient glucose in the brain. So that is another area that we would look at. But today we want to focus on the type 2. And here the beta cells are producing insulin adequately. But insulin moving along now cannot do its job well because of a problem. Sometimes we also have too much cholesterol in the blood, and that attacks our beta cells, interfering with insulin production. So overall, you find that individuals who are diabetic and you have type 2 diabetes, that you may be at risk, a 65% risk of getting Alzheimer's disease or dementia. Yeah, let's repeat that. Having diabetes type 2 puts us at risk for getting Alzheimer's disease or dementia. Anyone with Alzheimer's disease or dementia need to watch their insulin production, need to watch similar type of diet and lifestyle as one who have diabetes. Reduce the glucose content in their food intake, and do all of the other lifestyle good practices. Now, mother will produce milk, and mother's milk is for babies. Mother's milk would be for humans. And big people don't go to drink mother's milk, but instead we go for the cow's milk. And again, the cow's milk is dairy. So when we're consuming, you know that dairy tends to trigger diabetes situation. We have a number of children these days, young ones, coming up with diabetes. Why? The amount of milk, dairy milk that they're drinking, the plain milk, making milkshakes, having ice cream, or milk showing up, the dairy showing up in the cheese and the butter, and they're consuming these things in our society today can cause even the young children to become diabetic. And young children are already starting to inject themselves with insulin. So we're gonna just look at insulin. What is insulin? It is a hormone. Okay, it's a hormone that's produced by the beta cells in our pancreas. And it will help to manage that glucose in our bloodstream. All right, so when we eat certain foods that increases glucose, sugar in the bloodstream, insulin is demanded. We have a demand for insulin. Insulin tend to put that glucose remove it from the bloodstream and to put it into certain cells in our body, storing it as glycogen. So when you come and inject yourself, you're not going to see, at some point, you're not going to see that high glucose numbers in your bloodstream, but you knew you ate your potatoes and your dasheen and your bread and your pasta, and you knew you ate all of those things, but my glucose in my bloodstream, it's not high. What happened to it? Your insulin was able to remove it from the bloodstream and put it into cells. Why? Because when it's stored into the cells as glycogen, it will be stored there to be spilled out into your bloodstream as you have need for it to provide energy. So glucose is a central point of getting energy in our bodies. And too much of it can be a problem, or too little of it can be a problem. We want it to be just right. So when the insulin now has a work to do to remove the glucose from the bloodstream and put it into the cell of your liver, of your muscle cells, or sometimes if you have excess weight, even in your fat cells. But there are times when that insulin cannot do its job, and so the cells don't get stored with glucose. It's now in the bloodstream, and that's what we're seeing in a diabetes type 2 situation. It's in the bloodstream, it's high, and it's not moving. So insulin has a work to do. What is this work? It's going to go to the receptor site, like a door. And the insulin is like the key that has to open this door to put the glucose from the bloodstream into the cell, okay, of your liver. And when that's filled up, put it into the cells of your muscle cells as well. And in that order. So insulin is like a key. It has to open the door for the receptor so that the glucose can move from the bloodstream and go into the cells. Once it goes into the cell of your liver, then the door is shut and the insulin moved on. If you keep running high volumes of glucose in the bloodstream, it's going to start to go to the muscle cells and store glucose in the muscle cells. If you keep having your glucose numbers running high in your bloodstream, it starts to look for fat cells to store that glucose in, and then you put on some more weight. But here's the thing. Maybe you're saying, diabetes type 2, I'm producing insulin. Yeah, pancreas, okay, you're producing insulin, but why is my sugar still high in my bloodstream? Could it be that the insulin is stubborn? It's not doing its work. It's not functioning well. Well, does the insulin have a problem? What's wrong with the insulin? Well, here's the thing. Insulin goes to the receptor. Try to open the door, but the door will not open. It's rocking the door and shaking down the door, but it will not open. Why? Does anyone know why? Let's see in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. Does anyone know why? Okay, so just on the side, I'm seeing someone is asking a question. Does diabetes in babies, what about diabetes in the babies, the young ones? Could dairy be the cause? Sometimes babies may be born, they may be born with that insulin production not happening for them. And so from baby early, they're diagnosed as a type 1, and they will need to have an insulin administered to them. But you have adult onset diabetes that's maybe a type 1 where your insulin isn't working. Maybe you have some damage to the beta cells. And even for younger children coming up, they weren't born with it, but you see they're coming up and they have this issue. Yes, the dairy can cause that problem. The dairy can cause that problem, where you find that they're not producing adequate amounts of beta cells because the body is damaging the beta cells. So anybody knows why the door won't open? When the insulin, the key goes to the door, but not for anything is it going to be opened. All right, I'll tell you why. Okay, what do you think? Do you think it's sugar? Do you think it's sugar that's causing the receptor site to be stubborn? Can you? Something is blocking the door. Good. Something is blocking the door. Maybe fat. Nice. Kid is saying it's fat. All right. So yeah. Oil. Maybe it's fat. Maybe it's oil. Too much sugar. Okay. So we gotta go to some science, yeah, and find out what's causing it. There's a resistance, of course. Yeah, there is a resistance. I have a book here in my bookshelf called Health Power. Health Power. And in Health Power actually talks and tells us about a research that was done by Dr. James Anderson. And what he did, he did an experiment. Now, doctors do a lot of experiments. Okay, I do too. So experiment. So he took a group of individuals and fed them, they were healthy young men, and he fed them sugar, 1 pound of sugar every day, and gave them that for 2 weeks. And none of them became diabetic. Okay, so these healthy young men gave them a pound of sugar over 2 weeks' time, and they did not, is it 2 weeks or 11 days? And they did not become diabetic. He took another group of individuals. 52. He took another group of individuals, and this time he gave to them, 2 weeks. There was 2 weeks. After 2 weeks on sugar, they did not become diabetics. So Dr. Anderson, he then took these young men, they were lean, healthy individuals, and in less than 2 weeks, was by feeding them a 65% high-fat diet, and in less than 2 weeks was able to turn them into diabetics, meaning early morning, check it for 8-hour glucose fast testing, 8 hours fast and check their glucose level, and they were reading numbers as if they were a diabetic, a 65% high-fat diet. Fat, okay, as compared to the loads of sugar. Does it mean that we will take sugar in? Sugar can convert into fat. So the thing is, it's fat that's causing this insulin not to do the work, that the door is closed, the door is shut, the door is sealed. When your door receptor site is sealed with the fat in the diet, fat on the body, the receptor site is clogged. And the insulin will come, your pancreas will produce insulin as much as it wants, but the insulin cannot do the job because the fat is blocking the insulin from doing its job. That receptor will not open, that door will not open, and the glucose will do what? What do you think the glucose is going to do now? Anyone? What happens to the glucose if it cannot go into the cell? It does what? You could unmute. It's stored. If it's not going into the cell, stays in the blood. That's right. It stays within the blood because it cannot go and into the blood, into the cell. Therefore, start thinking in your diet. Where could we find the fat showing up in the diet? Someone mentioned in the oil, in our animal foods, that is mostly fat. You know, folks tend to take animal chicken and fish and turkey and all of these things eating for protein, but it's more fat than protein in content. The calories are more from fat than anything else in your chicken, even if you want to take the skin off. It's in the tissue. So you eat the flesh and the fat is there. You eat the fish and the fish is there. I mean, fish is there. Don't you hear about fish oil? Yeah, it's in the fat is in there. And then, so you're wondering now, what about the sugar, and what about the starchy vegetables that would send my glucose level high? They're naturally high in glucose themselves, sugar themselves, but it's staying in your bloodstream. It can't go in the cells because of the fat in our food. So when we cook our food and we put fat into the food, you're eating pastries, they have fats in them. You're eating your bake and you're frying the food, fry bake. And we're frying plantain, nice healthy plantain, but we're frying the plantain. We're frying the fish. So that's double. Fish have the fat and you're frying the fish. And these foods are saturated with oil. And then when we eat them, that oil over time starts to clog the cells in our body. And so the insulin cannot do the work, cannot open the cells because it's blocked. That door is blocked and sealed up with fat. Okay, so big hint, as you start making changes, we need to look for the fat and start removing the fats from our diet. Let's see what more. So it's a mechanism here. It's too technical. All right, so I'd stop right there for our content for today. And that would be our takeaway point. Our takeaway point is this. We gotta watch the fat in our food. We gotta watch even the fat on the body because that tends to be storing, that can help to increase insulin resistance. Someone mentioned insulin resistance. That is what insulin resistance means, that your cells are now resistant to the insulin. The cell is resistant to the insulin. It's not bothering with insulin because the cell is saying, I cannot open the door. I cannot open your receptor site. I can't open it. It's sealed. They've fed me so much fat over the past years. And now look at me. I can't open the door, insulin. I'm so sorry. It's nothing that I could do. And so who has the power to change that? We all do by our choices. If we're still cooking with oil, we don't need to. Could anybody tell us why would you cook with oil? Now, oil is processed. I'm yet to see oil growing on trees. Okay, I'm yet to see oil growing on trees. I see coconut, I see olives, I see avocado, I see grape seeds, but I don't see oil on trees. So though it may come from plant, I see soybean, not soybean oil. I see vegetables, but not vegetable oil. Oil is a processed item. Oil, you take whatever food item and you concentrate it and you get fats from it and put it out as oil. And we tend to cook with it. For flavor, culturally, we cook with the oil, or we want to fry the foods, or we add it into our food preparation. So for our takeaway point today, let's watch out for the fat in our diets and seek to remove the fat in our diet, in our food preparation. We don't need to add oil in our cooking. So can anyone tell me, Verona, you're muted. Do you have a question? Don't feel shy if you do. And can anyone tell me why? What do you cook with? Okay, exactly my question. So what do you cook with? If we are to, I'm accustomed cooking with oil. I have oil in my cupboards right now, you may see. So what do I do with it? I don't know. Rub the skin. But what are we going to cook oil with? So Kit is suggesting water. Yeah. Or broth that you may get from you steam your vegetables, you have that liquid. How put it over the, what about putting the oil over our cooked food? You're still going to consume it. And it doesn't matter where the oil comes from. If it's saturated fat, as in coconut and olive oil, it doesn't matter where the oil comes from. The body treats it all the same. So if I have let's see, if iPhone, okay. If you have a question, please raise your hand or unmute and ask your question. Okay, so now let's see, let's start. Anyone, put in the chat. What do you think are some of the things that we would cook oil, where you would be looking to add oil to your food in its preparation? Just tell us the food and we'll help you see how best to cook that. So just put in the chat what you may have cooked oil, cooked with, in order to add oil in there. Meat, okay. Good. So anything else what we would have added oil to in our cooking? Anything else? Anything else? Baked products and baked goods. Yes. So maybe you're baking bread or you're baking a coconut bake and putting it in the oven. All right. Maybe you are fry bakes. Yeah, some people like to fry the bake. Or even roti has oil in it. Anything else? Like we just want a few and then we can tell you how best to prepare it. Just put the items. You don't have to be doing it yourself, just what you heard others do. Or some family member. Doubles, yeah, fried rice. Thank you. Now you're going. Thinking. Hi, iPhone, welcome. We're just exploring ways in which we may look for oil to put in our food preparation? Sister Phyllis.
In our
Bread.
homemade granola,
Uh-huh.
And
And
in bread.
in your bread and in your granola. Uh-huh. Big. We got the meat.
I use oil in everything.
Oh my, oil and everything. So everything. I'm putting that down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
to
Mhm.
saute our onion and garlic,
The saute, oil, honey. Okay, you want a little sweet and garlic. Okay. When you eat out, yes, eating out, especially Chinese food. Excellent. Yep. So in terms of oil, doubles, I like that one. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Fries, yes. Oh my. We're going into a whole different lecture here when I want to talk to you guys about how to prepare your food. Okay, so fries and all of these things. So let's go down the list. Starting with, when I started to write it, I started with granola, for example. So we can teach you how to cook a no oil granola. Yep. You can do granola without adding oil to it. Just don't add oil. And instead of oil, we do a milky. So we take like almond nuts and we blend fat, and that's all little fat in there. That's enough. And we get the milky substance, and then we just blend that with the oats. Now on Sunday, we have a cooking school going on here at the center for those who have joined our medical missionary training. And one of the recipes that we will be teaching the missionaries will be how to prepare granola without oil. So maybe you've not heard about the medical missionary training yet. I encourage you. It's an excellent training to learn about this and so many other diseases and be able to go back into your communities and in your churches or workplaces and share health with others. You'd be helping yourself too. So granola, we can cook granola, bake granola without oil. And we use a nut milk, like almond milk. You can do sunflower seed. Blend sunflower seed in water, like 3/4 cup of sunflower seed to 1 cup of water. You blend that in your NutriBullet, and then you just pour that over your oats, and you work it up, and you can bake it, and it's good. Bread. So some people would cook bread, bake bread, and they add oil in there. We can let that pass because you're not going to, if you make 2-3 loaves, you're not going to eat all of that in one go. You have your slices of bread over time. But as diabetics, I tend to want to stay away from bread, flour. It's refined, but we'll get there at some point. Today, we're just focusing on the bread. But in my home, my husband bakes bread without oil. He'll do coconut milk. So it's a coconut that you blend. And so you know the coconut dried, you cut it up, you put it in water, you blend it. And then that would be the base. No oil to it. So it gets a little fat in there and the bread is moist. So that's why folks would add oil to their bread to sort of look for the moisture. But we do the coconut, so you get the fiber, the husky fiber in there, and you get a fat one time. And that's what we do. We don't add oil to the bread. What about fry bake? There you have that flour that's soaked, baked in oil, because it's deep oil that you're frying. So the fry bake and the doubles that you may buy, that's loaded with oil. And so when you eat that, you're bringing oil into the body. And especially if you eat it on a regular basis, you're bringing that oil into the body. So let's skip the fry bake. If you're doing a bake, let's just roast it. Or you roll it on the rolling pin and put it on your tower or in your pot. Do you know what a tower is, right? It's like a hot iron plate that you can put on your stove top. Right, so you put it on that and you can flip it and it can cook. So someone mentioned meat. Well, there's fat in the meat. And I want to ask you to even help improve your diabetes, that you begin thinking about this, and every day try moving across to a whole food, plant-based diet. Okay, whole food, plant-based diet. And why am I emphasizing on whole food? Pasta is not a whole food. If it's a rice pasta, the rice is whole, not the pasta. So you're looking for the whole food, the whole grain, or the ground provision, whatever it might be. With diabetes, you can do rice, not the white rice, because it's not whole. It's missing the fiber. So we would do brown rice instead that has the fiber in it, and it's the whole grain. So the fiber, glucose numbers will rise, yes, like it would do for all of us, but it would rise gradually, all right? Not just giving you the spikes, it would rise, but gradually. So look for the fat in the meat items, in the chicken, in the fish, in the turkey, in the lamb, in the goat. What else? Oh, I passed by sometime and I saw people ordering cow oxtail and cow heel. And I said, oh, I need to add that, make sure and add that, because people tend to eat these things, right? So there's fat in all of that. And when you eat it, it's going into the system and causing those cells to clog up, block up with fat content. Now it's a hard time for the glucose to move from your bloodstream into your liver or muscle cells. So the meat, we don't want to cook it with oil. So we're going to transit to plant foods. But if you still have some meat and you're going to cook it, don't do the oil. Boil it. That probably don't taste good. Because oil has a taste, but by the way, best ways of cooking will be boil, steaming, steam, boiling or steaming, and those are nice healthy ways for cooking. We don't want to cook overheating. Baking, when I get into a little bit more food science, we bake, yes, but let your baking not pass 350 degrees. If you go over 350, you tend to sort of change the composition of the food and lose more nutrients from the food, even though it's maybe healthy, lose more nutrients from the food and create other kinds of compounds in it that could be toxic to the body. High temperatures of baking, you don't want to pass 350 degrees. Sometimes you could put your food in the oven and you want moist heat. That's what you're looking for, moist heat and lower heat in your food preparation. But we will get to talk more about food. But for now, if you can start reducing your flesh foods, then that would be great. Not only the hardcore fresh foods, think about sausages or nuggets or anything coming from animal. Remember, we talked about dairy, so cheese, all of that you get fat in. Your butter, you get fat, your eggs, and then sometimes folks would fry eggs. So you have double of fat in the egg itself plus fat in the frying of the egg. So let's move away from the animal foods. They contain the fat in them. Someone says sauteing, that you would saute with oil. and garlic, So some folks like to burn their garlic for flavor. If you put a little drop of oil into that pot and put your garlic on the spot and get it heated up, and then the garlic is removed, uh, that would be still better, but don't be pouring oil. I see sometimes people pour oil into their food, pour it out. And that is going to just you're going to put on excess weight, and you're going to clog up your cells, creating an insulin resistance and high blood sugar in there. So sauteing your vegetables, even we don't need oil. Let's use water. In place of water, instead of pouring oil, let's pour water instead in there. Okay. It's different mindset that we need to have. Lots of our cooking is cultural. This is the way we do it. But in some societies, they don't use oil at all in their cooking. I remember some time ago, we had in a training program, we had some individuals from India, and they are living in Trinidad. They have Indian roots. They had spent some time there, and they were talking about the folks there in India don't put oil in even to make their sada roti. That's a little white one that they do for breakfast. They don't put baking powder in there, and neither do they put the oil in it. And so they made some nice sada roti for us without the oil. And
Excuse me.
yeah, sure.
I love sourdough roti, but I just use oil to get it be moist. I would like to know what they do.
Yeah. So you
How
can
do they?
you can add a little coconut milk, but let it not be every day, because coconut milk in itself is fat coconut. That dried coconut has saturated fat. It's the same saturated fat that you will find in meat. In your chicken. In your chicken, you have saturated fat. In your fish, saturated fat. So it's the same saturated fat, and that poses a problem for diabetes, for high blood pressure, for high cholesterol levels, for inflammation, for arthritis, for cancer, and the list goes on. So you can put a little coconut milk. You can just simply do the water. We tend to make flaxseed in there. That will help to make it pliable. We also you can take the ground flaxseed and you mix it in some water and add. That's going to help with the stretchiness. We do add flaxseed gel in our bread making, and there is where we take the flaxseed whole, put it into a pot with water, like 1/4 cup of flaxseed, 2 cups of water. You put that in a pot, you bring it to a boil, and then the gel, you pour that out and you use that as your base that you start adding your flour to. And that tends to make it moist. Okay, so we're looking for options here that would help us to overcome our diabetes situation. All right. Eating out, you don't know what people are putting in their food, and oil shows up in a lot of things. Fat shows up to help with taste that you're looking at, and fries. Let's not do frying our fries, our potato, especially as someone with diabetes. You don't want to eat fries. Lots of oil in it. In addition, it's mainly the Irish potatoes, and the Irish potatoes elevates blood sugar. So if you're someone with diabetes and I'm helping you, I would say let's do sweet potato instead, because it tends to have more fiber in the sweet potato as compared to the Irish potato. On a glycemic index, when you start putting a number value to your Irish potato, it's high. The glucose level is high in it already. So you may know with your own experience, you eat the Irish potato, the white potato, you eat that, and your numbers are high. And if you're doing this quite regularly, your numbers are high, you may not know. So sweet potato, yes, but even in reduced amounts. if I give individuals here at the center, if they have diabetes and we give them sweet potato in breakfast time, that's it. You cannot come in with another ground provision for the lunch because guarantee next morning, their glucose number is going to be high. All right, too much of that starchy vegetable in their bloodstream is going to increase the glucose levels. So our fries, let's leave that on the side for a while. With diabetes, we don't need to eat fried potatoes or doubles. And then someone mentioned that they put oil in everything. No, you can't do that. Even the nice broccoli, let's just steam it and eat it. Steam it up and or put it in a pot with some water. Put your garlic, put your onion, put your pink Himalayan sea salt or Celtic sea salt, get it nice flavored. You can add some nice green seasonings to it and stir around your broccoli as compared to putting oil on that. Someone mentioned about pouring oil on the food even after you prepared everything. No, the body is going to treat it. It's oil and it's going to just take it up and have to work with it. And your liver is, those cells are going to seal up themselves, become insulin resistant, and the blood is going to be sweet. So all fat, the sugar. So with diabetes, we want to stay away from sugar. Watch any sugar content, and I'll talk more about sugar in another session. But know that sugar, sweet things, tend to convert into fat in the body. It is metabolized as fat in the body. It also tends to increase our fat cells in our body. So you put on adipose tissue, more weight on you, and that promotes a problem. Any questions? Okay.
When you're
So-
craving for sugar, what do you eat in that space?
If you're craving for sugar, that's a gut health problem. So what do you eat? And so you can eat an orange, eat something, or eat an apple as compared to the sugar. So what I would do is start looking at what you're consuming, start cleaning up, adding more fiber in your food. If you add more fiber in your food, some time ago in one of our previous sessions, I mentioned let's eat peas and beans with our breakfast and with our lunch meal. And that tends to sort of stabilize the glucose because of the fiber in there and reduce those sugar cravings. So the more fiber you eat, it helps to feed our beneficial gut bacteria and reduce the cravings. It's when those gut bacteria doesn't feel fed enough that you start having cravings. All right, so if we were to add more fiber, when you're eating your food, get your cucumbers in there, have your lettuce, you're eating fiber in all those vegetables, then it tends to balance the gut flora and you have less craving. Drink water, it requires some discipline. It will take a little while, but let's look for the fiber in our food. Having a probiotic. At times, I may add a probiotic in a protocol, and that tends to balance the gut bacteria and reduce any cravings. I think Sister Phyllis has a question. No?
Can you
Okay, go
can
ahead.
you recommend a substitute probiotic that I could buy over the counter?
Yes. Yeah, are you in Trinidad or where are you? Okay, so you can look for the Now brand. This isn't one, but the Now brand tends to carry probiotics. I went into the pharmacy earlier this week to look for some supplements, and I saw they had probiotics with Acidophilus.
Let me see the one you just put up. What's the name?
This is not a probiotic, but it's in a usually the Now products comes in a orange package. This is not one. The probiotic I have is probiotic 10, and that one needs to be kept in the refrigerator. So it's in my fridge. But there are some that are over the counter, and you can just walk in and pick them up. So here you can get probiotic 10, probiotic 8. If you're in the US, you may be able, or UK, you may be able to access BioCult, BioCult, BioCult. And why I like that one, it has 14 strains of bacteria, and so it helps to feed and provide beneficial gut bacteria for those 14 strains of bacteria in your gut, and it works quite nicely. So that's BioCult. I can put that in the chat, but that's a brand that you can get out in the US or in the UK.
Dr.
Doc-
Excuse me, what about pizza? Making a nice meal of pizza.
Yeah,
Pizza?
we can show you how to make a nice healthy pizza.
Dr. Notch,
Hi, Sister
there's
Abby.
there's also a probiotic, a good one called Trust Your Gut.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
trust your gut.
Yeah.
Right. There you got another option. Okay. Yes. So I tried making bread and blended oats and butter and a little flour currants. Came out well. Okay. Right. So in the butter, we have some oil too. Okay. And that's dairy. So you can start with the dairy. Remember, it will attack the beta cells and cause you to produce less insulin. Dairy. Can I reverse my diabetes? Definitely you can. You can. We had in one of our previous sessions, and I look for someone to bring on in our next month's meeting to share with you how she overcame her diabetes. But in our previous session, about a month or 2 months ago, we had someone out in Canada that talked about she was able to reverse her diabetes, now happily running excellent numbers. Many people come to the center or follow a plan and they get it to do. What about green planting? You may be able to do green planting, test your blood sugar and see if that works for you. If you cook green plantain, but your plantain, you don't need to fry your plantain. You can simply bake it 350 degrees and fry it. 300 degrees will help it work as well. Why do people go on a keto diet to reverse diabetes? I have no idea, because with a ketogenic diet, you're looking at olive oil and a lot of meat items that has fat in it. It tends to, what they do is that they're using it and they're using the fats and so forth to help the body to run on fat for fuel instead of glucose. And so that's what they're doing. But ketogenic diets do not last. At some point, they do jump off because they start encountering other types of diseases, including high cholesterol levels and high blood pressure and other things as a result of eating all that meat. So yeah, that's not a good way to go. Would you recommend a probiotic and enterogamia? I'm not familiar with it. See, so I'm doing a kind of a diet crazy. I'm not familiar with that one, but whatever you find, you're looking for a multi-strain item, probiotic multi-strain, and in that way, you will be able to address, your gut health well. Okay, did I see a hand? Do we have anyone wanting to comment? Okay, so for those who are here, big question. Are you on our diabetes support group?
I
What's
was
up?
just gonna ask you if you could recommend a dietitian for me to go on to reverse my pre-diabetic.
Yes.
I was just gonna ask you.
Okay, so you want a diet sheet. Excellent. I would share a diet sheet with you all. I think I did previously, so I'll look for that specific for diabetes.
This
And
is my first time on it.
okay, welcome. Are you in our WhatsApp group yet?
No, I'm not. Can I get a number to get in?
Okay, I just put it in the chat here. I don't know if you're able to click on that and then you're in.
You just put it in the chat?
Yes, yeah.
Message, new message,
So
chat.
yeah, so that's how we can
Join
communicate
the diabetic WhatsApp. Okay, I
on
see it.
that. Mhm.
Yeah, I see it. Join the group. View
Nice.
the group. Yeah, I'm on it.
Wonderful.
So
Welcome.
can you send me the sheet, nutrition sheet?
We will, and also some ideas about what
Yeah.
prepare. What you can prepare and just get you up and going. Have you ever seen skateboarders, people who are on skates, and so the one foot they're on the skate, and with the other foot they keep pedaling until they get a balance, and then they're fully on the skateboard. So that's what you would do for a while until you're fully on board and really doing well. But so we mentioned a couple of things today in terms of concepts about what diabetes is about and how, fat contributes to that, the sugar that can convert into fat, glucose, carbohydrates that converts into that high
For me,
glucose
for
running
me,
into
I eat a lot of rice.
brown rice. Look for the
They have the rice here, the diabetic rice, so that's what I mainly eat. It's a parboiled brown rice, right?
Okay, where are you?
I'm in the United States.
Okay. So make sure it's brown rice and has some.
Yeah, it's a brown rice, and it's diabetic.
Okay. Yeah, so
So,
you're good with that.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, even if it's the cold compressed, cold pressed olive oil, cold pressed coconut oil, it's still the same. Please don't put it on your salad. Please don't put it on your food. The body just sees fat. It's going to treat it with it. It's going to help your muscle cells, your liver cells clog up, and then your glucose cannot get into the cells. All right. It's just as simple as that. Glucose cannot get into the cell because the fats just make those cells seal up, clog up, and the glucose just remains in the bloodstream and gets high. And we don't want it to get too high that it can cost you your life or a limb. All right, the dairy, the milk, the cheese, the butter, the eggs, the ice cream, and juices that has sugar in them, or even some folks will take fruit and blend to make smoothies. All of that is going to increase glucose in your bloodstream. So let's eat the fruit, not juice them. Okay, can this be viewed on YouTube? Yeah, I'll put it on the YouTube. And because now we're getting fully into our diabetes series lectures. All right. I'd love to get an info 6, 7, 8. If you can just look up in the chat here, I just put the WhatsApp group. Please join the WhatsApp group. And there we have more communication going on. And you can ask your questions in between. So our next session is going to be in the first Tuesday in the February month. And so in between now and then, you can ask your questions in the WhatsApp and we will respond and guide you and help you. If you wake up one morning and you say, "Ah, my glucose number is like 200. I'm going to say, okay, what did you do? What did you do? Was it like that yesterday? No. So what did you do between yesterday and now? Maybe you didn't have a good night's sleep. Whatever it might be, we'll help you work it out. Okay. So, good.
Dr. Nang,
Yes.
what, well, from what you have said, it seems as a lot of these foods, we have to have alternatives.
Yeah.
What can be eaten to maintain body mass? Body mass. I mean, if you take away the oil
Mm-hmm.
and the butter and all the other stuff, you lose weight. And if I'm
Yeah.
small already, I'm going to lose more weight and I won't look good.
Right. So you recognize it's the fat of fat. So
So,
body mass, let's look for fiber. So lots more vegetables that tends to build and fiber, and then do some weights, get some dumbbells and keep your muscles all tuned up. Physical activity can help you to keep that mass.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Doctor, is it okay to have Bulgar?
Bulgur wheat.
Yes.
That
Bulgur.
may raise your glucose levels. If you have it maybe once a month or so, but not regular. So as we just mentioned, having the natural, all natural brown rice or maybe red rice, any rice that has the fiber on it, whole grain. So that's what we're looking for. Quinoa is also a nice option that you can have.
And millet?
Millet, buckwheat, as well as barley. But barley, you guys gotta cook barley for long. I put the barley in my slow cooker and let it cook through the night, and it comes in nicely. Yes,
Chia.
Phyllis? Yeah,
Chia.
uh-huh. Yes, sir.
Chia seeds. Chia.
Chia. Oh yeah, you definitely can have chia seeds. Chia seeds, flaxseed, 2 tablespoons of flax seeds daily. Just put it on your peas. And you got to break the flax seed, okay? Blend it, make sure it's ground, run it through a coffee grinder, and you'll be fine.
What about the chia seed?
Chia seeds, yeah, you can ground it as well, or you can soak it, and then it bulks up a little bit, and you can have that. Here, they
Is
said
it
we do
is it the same 2 tablespoons?
2 tablespoons, correct?
Okay.
Because that's a dose for getting sufficient omega-3 fatty acids, the 2 tablespoons.
So
And
you,
it helps reduce
so you-
inflammation.
so you can have that every day?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Is it the one or the other? You don't have both on the same day, right?
Correct. Yeah, do either of them. All right, Sister Jackie, we're going to put it on the YouTube and also share the link for the recording in our WhatsApp, in the WhatsApp chat. Yeah. All right, wonderful. Questions? Okay. All right, so I think that's it for this evening. Thank you so much for joining.
Doc,
And
before you sign off, my name is Lloyd Keen. This is the first time I'm joining. I logged on at 7:01 I noticed you were in your deliberations then. What time do you start on Tuesdays?
For you, it might be 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It was 7 for me where I am at. I'm close to Caracas. I'm in Trinidad. And for you would be an hour behind me. So for now, it's 6 until the clock changes again.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay, welcome. And we're meeting once a month, first Tuesday in the month.
Okay. Great.
All right. So let's go to God and let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we want to give you thanks for our session today. We thank you for all of your lovely children who have come to learn, and we pray that you will guide them, bless their efforts, multiply it, so that they can overcome, reverse their diabetes situation or high blood pressure or whatever might be plaguing them. As they begin to make these changes, we ask for your continued blessing and leading and guidance. We pray these and other mercies according to your will. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.